Hey there, friends. Today, I've got a wild story for you, one that's equal parts bizarre and tragic. It's a tale of greed, desperation, and chaos that unfolded during the holiday season back in 1927. I'm talking about the infamous Santa Claus Bank Robbery, a heist that turned a small Texas town into a war zone. So, grab your favorite drink, sit back, and let's dive into this unbelievable crime story together. Our story begins in Cisco, Texas, a quiet little town where everyone knew each other. It was December 23rd, 1927, just 2 days before Christmas. The streets were bustling with holiday cheer, kids dreaming of presents, and families preparing for the big day. But that festive mood was about to be shattered by one of the most infamous crimes in Texas history. Enter Marshall Ratliff, a career criminal who had just been released from prison. Desperate for money, Ratliff devised an audacious plan to rob the First National Bank of Cisco. He recruited three accomplices: Henry Helms, a known violent offender, Robert Hill, a fellow criminal with a sharp mind, and Lewis Davis, a relatively inexperienced but willing participant. Ratliff believed that dressing up as Santa Claus would allow him to move through the town unnoticed and keep suspicions low. It was a gamble, and one that would prove disastrous. On the morning of December 23rd, Ratliff donned his Santa suit and led his crew into the bustling streets of Cisco. Children waved excitedly at Santa, and Ratliff played along, smiling and engaging with the crowd as they approached the bank. Inside, the mood shifted dramatically. Ratliff and his accomplices pulled guns, ordered everyone to the floor, and demanded cash. The robbers worked quickly, shoving nearly $12,000 in cash and securities into their bags. But things began to unravel almost immediately. A young girl who had followed Santa into the bank realized something was wrong and slipped out to alert the authorities. This set off a chain reaction. In Cisco, like many small towns in Texas, nearly everyone was armed. Within minutes, police and armed citizens began surrounding the bank, cutting off the robbers' escape routes. Realizing they were cornered, the robbers grabbed two young girls as hostages and made a break for it. Outside, a chaotic shootout erupted. Bullets flew as the robbers fired at their pursuers, killing one police officer and injuring several townspeople. Despite the hostages in the getaway car, the armed mob didn't back down. The car sped through the streets with gunfire echoing in its wake. As the robbers fled, their situation worsened. The getaway car was riddled with bullet holes, and they were forced to abandon it after a tire was shot out. They left behind one of their injured accomplices, Lewis Davis, who later died from his wounds. Ratliff, Helms, and Hill escaped on foot, but the massive manhunt that followed left them little room to hide. Law enforcement and armed civilians combed the area with dogs and horses, determined to bring the criminals to justice. Over the next few days, Hill was captured and Helms was killed in a firefight. Ratliff, however, managed to evade capture for a while longer. When he was finally apprehended, the townspeople's anger was palpable. Ratliff's trial was a spectacle, with crowds gathering to catch a glimpse of the man who had brought chaos to their town. He was convicted and sentenced to 99 years in prison. But Ratliff's story didn't end there. His time in prison was short-lived. The citizens of Cisco, still furious over the bloodshed, took matters into their own hands. On November 19th, 1929, an angry mob stormed the jail where Ratliff was being held, dragged him out, and lynched him. It was a grim and violent act of vigilante justice, marking a dark chapter in the town's history. The Santa Claus Bank robbery is remembered not only for its audacity, but also for the chaos and tragedy it left behind. Two innocent lives were lost, countless others were affected, and a small town's holiday spirit was shattered. Yet, the story lives on as a cautionary tale of desperation and greed. Thanks for sticking with me through this wild ride. If you found this story as fascinating as I did, let me know in the comments. And as always, if you're into true crime and want to hear more stories like this, hit that subscribe button. Stay safe out there, friends, and I'll see you in the next one.